Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we've got some more movie news. Obviously, with Tenet now moving 2 weeks back to being now released on July 31st, and other films in the process of moving as well, including Unhinged now moving back a little over a week as well, and Wonder Woman 1984 moving from an August release to now early October. It was inevitable that many other films from other studios would likely also start to move as well, but we of course are still in the midst of Warner Brothers moving almost its entire release slate around now, of course, with No Time to Die getting a move. And also, of course, some other big news is The Matrix is now being pushed back to 2022 as Godzilla vs. Kong, which was set to come out this year, is getting pushed back to 2021. So let's go ahead and dive into the dates, dive into the news, and then I'll give my commentary as well on whether I think this is going to impact the box office results for any of these films, and also whether that this means I actually still have any desire to see any of these films, because let me be honest here, the three films that are being affected by this, I really don't have that much interest in. But let's go ahead and dive into it. With Warner Brothers, Legendary's Godzilla vs. Kong stomping away from its November 20th release date, MGM's 007 feature No Time to Die will take over that slot in the States. No Time to Die is also getting earlier in the UK on November 12th. News broke on social media this morning. Deadline was first to report that due to COVID and the shutdown of theaters in China at that point in time back in early March, that No Time to Die was moving off its Easter weekend launchpad of April 10th and heading to November 25th, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Wouldn't be surprised if Disney's Pixar Soul takes over Bond's old slot out stateside of November 25th, even though that movie is on November 20th. Disney has typically launched their Thanksgiving stretch event picks over a 5-day period, with the exception of last year when they took Frozen 2 out of the weekend before Turkey Day, making $130.2 million stateside, the fifth best debut after the month of November. And also, Frozen 2 ended up making well over $1 billion. I think it ended up around $1.4 billion. So definitely a good choice for them to have it at that time. But as you can see here, some good news, I guess, if you are looking forward to No Time to Die, if you're a 007 fan, that you will not have to wait nearly as long for this film. It was originally scheduled to be late November, the end of November, again around the time of Thanksgiving. Now it is getting moved up to November 12th instead, because of the fact that you're going to be getting Godzilla, King of the Monsters, moving away to 2021. Again, this really comes down to studios trying to make the most money they possibly can and trying to avoid as much competition as they can. And whether or not anyone thinks Godzilla, King of the Monsters would have been a huge box office success or would have been a good film doesn't really matter, because you'd never want to have big films up against big films unless you're confident that your film will be the bigger one, financially speaking, and that is the reason why you see No Time to Die moving at this point in time. I still really have no desire to see No Time to Die because of the various reports that we've gotten from the production. It seems like they are more focused on trying to push identity politics into their movie rather than trying to tell a great story and an end to the Daniel Craig version of the character of James Bond. So sadly, I will probably be skipping that film. I have not officially made that decision as of yet. I'll have to wait until we get some more information about what the script is going to be and what actually the film is going to be about, except for the various rumors and speculation that we've gotten in the meantime. Other big films, of course, that have been affected, as I mentioned in the very beginning, are the fact that we're getting Matrix 4 being moved to 2022, which I know that there's a lot of people that watch videos on this channel that they're upset that this move has happened. And also, similar category there as far as people being upset, that Godzilla vs. Kong being pushed back now to 2021 has also made various people upset. Warner Brothers release date change on Friday, so it just won't stop. Warner Brothers is in the wake of moving Tenet from July 17th to July 31st, and Wonder Woman 84 from August 14th to October 2nd, and has shifted a number of its movies on the 2020 schedule deeper into the calendar. Matrix 4, which currently paused production in Berlin but might start next month, goes from May 21st of 2021 to now April Fool's Day of 2022. Pick is a co-production. Is co-production with Matrix 4 is in co-production with Village Roadshow, which has been the co-financier of the Matrix trilogy. Warner's had the latter date on hold, and it's weekend after Disney opens Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness on March 25th. Now, I personally think that is actually a really bad move on their part, because despite my thoughts on the current state of the MCU, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness could actually be a pretty big film and pretty big release. To release your next Matrix film a week after that one, I think is going to be a bad decision, because I imagine a lot of the people that are going to see and wanting to go see Doctor Strange's sequel are also going to be in the same mindset of the Matrix. Again, obviously there's different fan bases there, but it just seems like as far as the normies go, you probably have a lot of people and a lot of crossover between those two movies. So I don't think that is a good choice by Warner Brothers to push the film to that point. Is it going to stay at that point? Really is hard to say. Obviously, I think that the reason why they put it there is just so they have an actual release date on the schedule. And then depending on when their production starts back up again and how their production actually ends up going in the process will determine what their final release date will be for that film. So for now, April 1st. But do not be surprised if you see that date change once again. Again, all depending on the production and how far along they're able to get and how quickly they're able to get along in that process. I am not really looking forward to Matrix 4. I think Matrix 2 and 3, Matrix 1 was great. Matrix 2 was okay. Matrix 3 was terrible. And I just really have no interest in going back into that world because the third film really kind of put an end point on the story. And obviously, it's a world where because everything is in the Matrix, because everything is in this virtual reality and also mixed with that in the real world, you could definitely play around with that, and I could see how they could squeeze another film out of it, but I just really don't care what the Wachowski brothers have to do at this point in time when it comes to this film specifically. But anyway, that has now been moved to April 1st of 2022. Legendary's Godzilla vs. Kong will no longer go on November 20th of this year. Instead, it will take over Matrix 4's original May 21st date. Lionsgate currently has Spiral, its Saw reboot starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson on that date. So my guess is that now with Godzilla vs. Kong, which I think could potentially be a huge box office juggernaut coming onto that weekend, that you might see Spiral get moved as well, that Lionsgate might move that around because even though very different audiences there, again, horror film versus action film in Godzilla vs. Kong, that being said, it's a large portion of the audience of the box office that's going to be going to see Godzilla vs. Kong over a movie like Spiral, which, to be honest, I don't think should be in a May time slot. And if I were Lionsgate, I would probably move that to October because that has everything. If it is a reboot of Saw, featuring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson, having that film get released in October and even better, released on Halloween weekend, I think could be an amazing choice for them and could actually lead to a heck of a lot of money in the process. I think it'll still make money no matter where it ends, but I think putting it up against a film like Godzilla vs. Kong is probably not the best decision that they could potentially make in the future. As far as my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong goes, I like the first Godzilla film that came out in 2014. I thought it was a very interesting adaptation. I understand the criticism that we did not get nearly enough Godzilla on the screen. I think that makes total sense, but when we got Godzilla King of the Monsters, I think we got too much of the monsters on screen because it ended up just being a lot of CGI mess at times. And then, of course, the big reason why the film, I think, fell behind is because much of the story focused on the human characters that were very uninteresting and I just really didn't care about. And the stories and subplots of those human characters just, to me, were completely worthless and I think took away from, some of the cool action sequences that did exist on screen, even though some of it kind of fell into a CGI mess. So when it comes to having the story of Godzilla vs. Kong, which of course has been told before, and now we have these updated CGI effects, I don't really know if it's going to be a film that I'm going to have a strong desire to see. I'll probably still go see it opening weekend just so that I can get a review out on it. But to be honest, this film getting pushed back being pushed back out of 2020 to 2021, I think financially makes a lot of sense for it because if you have a big budget film like that, and Lord knows what the budget for that film is going to end up being, I would say well north of $150 million. I wouldn't be surprised with that kind of CGI. You're looking at $250 million production budget alone, not even taking into account marketing, which means they're going to have to make probably roughly like $600 to $750 million just to break even at the box office. And seeing that we don't really know what the state of the box office is going to be even just a couple of weeks from now when movie theaters start to reopen and theaters start to get actual new movies like Unhinged with Russell Crowe or eventually late July with Tenet, it's really just going to be a total crapshoot. But anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that we are going to see these films come out at the times? Again, Matrix 4, I think, has probably the most moving room. I would imagine that Godzilla vs. Kong probably will be sitting pretty at that May 21st slot because that is the very beginning of the summer box office season. May has been notorious for being a good jumping off point for a lot of big budget films. I think Spiral, on the other hand, though, would move. And again, if I were them, I would move Spiral to October, unless, of course, they've got something else up their sleeve for an October release. So what are your thoughts about that? What are, of course, also your thoughts about No Time to Die? Do you think that this film being moved up a couple weeks now to the very beginning of November will help this film, hurt this film, or basically be the same? I think that it's going to be fine for the film to move up a little bit, but again, it really depends on what the state of the box office is when this movie comes out. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and anything I talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Benton, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribe-Star members: Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Dark Star 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, the Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man, and Jonathan Carney, and Jacob Juice. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribe-Star. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribe-Star, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon and Subscribe-Star, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flick Pig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.